Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's call. UFC 144 Edgar versus Henderson airs live on pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, on Saturday, February 25th, from Saitama Super Arena in Japan. Today on the call, we're joined by the main and co-main event participants from next weekend's blockbuster card. We begin first with the current UFC lightweight champion who will be making his fourth consecutive title defense at this event, Frankie Edgar. We're also joined by his opponent, who last notched an impressive victory over Clay Guida to earn this shot, former WC champ Benson Henderson. Also joining us on the call today is former UFC and Pride champion Quinton Rampage Jackson, as well as his opponent, Tough Season 8 winner, division top contender Ryan Bader. Before we get started with the call, I want to remind everyone that UFC Undisputed 3, the video game, hit stores today. We and our partner CHQ are very proud of this game. It is easily the best in the successful franchise. Undisputed 3 features over 150 fighters across 7 weight divisions, as well as the debut of the much-anticipated Pride FC mode. That being said, let's open it up for questions.
Thank you, gentlemen. And as a reminder, that is *1 to queue for a question or comment. And we'll pause for just a moment to give everyone the opportunity to signal.
Yeah, that was good, too.
And once again, that is *1, and we'll hear from Matt Jewell with the Bleacher Report.
Hi, my first question is for Frankie Edgar. This is only your second time fighting outside the United States, the first time being when you won the championship. How does going to Japan, how's your feelings towards going to Japan, and how will it compare to your last time fighting outside of the United States?
Yeah, obviously super excited to fight over in Japan. Birthplace of martial arts. It's ingrained in their culture. They're huge fans. And I think they're going to appreciate, the show we put on. And, it's similar to going to Abu Dhabi, a little bit more of a time difference. But I'm trying to approach it somewhat the same. It's not my first go-around, so I feel like I have a little experience in that end.
All right, thank you. Got it.
Thank you. Once again, folks, that's *1, and we'll now go to Adam Martin with thescore.com.
I have 2 questions. First one is for Ryan Glab. Ryan, UFC.com lists 7 fights on the main card. Is that correct? There's going to be 7 fights on the pay-per-view card?
I believe we've got 6 fights scheduled for the main card.
Do you know which fights those are?
I believe we've got main event through, hang on one second. Let me check this out. We just made a few changes. Give me a few seconds on that.
No worries.
Once again, folks, that's *1, and we'll now go to Neil Davidson with the Canadian Press.
Yes, thank you. My question is for Quinton. Quinton, you were very popular in Japan. I wonder if you could tell us of what your thoughts are about going back there, and why do you think that you were so popular when you fought there?
I'm really excited about going back to Japan. There's no secret about that. I love that place. I think I was so popular in Japan because of my fighting style. I was young. I didn't care. I just wanted to fight and put on exciting fights for the crowd, and they loved that type of stuff because pro wrestling is real popular there, and I kind of brought that type of factor to MMA.
And if I could follow up, can you talk a little bit about what the crowd is like in Japan? From what we understand, it's very knowledgeable, but a lot quieter than a North American crowd. How would you describe the difference?
You just said it.
Okay. Nothing to add?
You said everything.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that's *1 for any questions. And we'll now hear from Steven Morocco with MMAJunkie.com.
Hey, Quinton. To follow up on what Neil was saying, is fighting in Japan something you felt you had to do before you call it a career? I know you got a couple more years in this, but is fighting in Japan something you felt was like on your bucket list or something that you had to do before you stopped fighting?
Well, it's a no-brainer. If the UFC is going back to Japan and I got my big break in Japan, so you know, I would want to be there. You know, so I couldn't just say it's on my bucket list. But you know what I'm saying? If you know, it was a no-brainer that the UFC's putting on a show in Japan, and I wanted to be on that card.
Do you think the UFC is going to be able to revive the scene there?
I think if anybody has a chance, it's the UFC, because they have like little small shows and stuff there and everything. But UFC is like the biggest show on the planet right now. I remember back in the days when Pride was the biggest show, but you know, saying the UFC has surpassed them, and you know, I think if anybody has a chance, it's the UFC. And if I have anything to do with it, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna fight my heart out, and I'm put on a big show, and try to put on the most exciting fight the Japanese fans have ever seen, to maybe want them to have the UFC come back.
Have you looked at the rest of the card of the guys that are fighting on that card? And if so, do you have any thoughts about the matchmaking? A lot of times, you know, people talk about the difference in style between the Japanese matchmaker, you know, the matchmaking in Pride, which is a little bit more, you know, a little bit more like pro wrestling centric, or had a lot more like freak show matches per se, as opposed to the UFC style, which, you know, I guess is more based on the athletic prowess of each athlete. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, if I gave my thoughts on the matchmaking in the UFC, Joe Silva probably wouldn't even talk to me anymore. So I'm gonna keep quiet on that, to be honest. You know, I think the Pride had that matchmaking, like, exciting fights. Like I don't think people understand. Like in America, everybody was worried about who's gonna win, and this and that, who's winning. Like it ain't all about that. It's entertainment at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? The fans, they want to see the entertaining fight, and fans got that. I just don't think America. I don't think we have it yet. Like we still light years behind the Japanese fans and the Japanese, you know what I'm saying, people that watch fights. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Adam, to answer your question, this is Ryan again. I've got the most recent card update. We're going 4 hours for this main card. We've got 7 total bouts, which I think you mentioned. We've got, obviously, at the top, Frankie and Benson for the title. Obviously, we've got Rampage and Bader as the co-main at light heavy. We've also got Mark Hunt and Czech Congo at heavy. Yoshihiro Akiyama and Jake Shields is a welterweight bout. Yushin Okami against Tim Boach at middle. Hato Hioki against Bart Palashevsky at feather. And Anthony Pettis against Joe Lozon at lightweight. So we've got 7 total bouts on the main card.
Thank you. We will now go to Damon Martin with MMAWeekly.com.
Hey guys, first question is for Rampage. Rampage, you mentioned, you know, after the fight with John Jones, you really had to battle. You know, you really had to fight to get on this card. Can you walk us through? I mean, what was that conversation like? Because I know that was a big part for you, as you wanted to be on this card in Japan.
Well, my manager just informed me not to go into that, because you know, so that can get me in trouble with some people at the UFC. But you guys know I had to fight the undercard. That's basically all I can go into.
Would you look at this fight, I mean, outside of a title fight, which is obviously always the biggest deal, would you look at this as maybe just going into it, maybe your favorite or most important fight, just being able to go back there where you really started your career?
It's just like very important to me personally. You know what I'm saying? My kids are from Japan. You know what I'm saying? My kids' grandparents and stuff are there. They never really watched me fight back in the day, you know. And I got a lot of friends in Japan, and I really miss the fans. So I'm not gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? I really miss fighting there. So it was something personal for me. You know, so my 2 younger kids can come and watch me fight, and you know, saying, you know, the in-laws and stuff can be in the crowd and watch me fight. I never had that before. You know, so it's just something I want to do.
And a question for Ryan. You know, Ryan stepping into you know, a bit of the lion's den here with Rampage, kind of in his backyard. You know, kind of. What is it? You know, what is that like for you? I mean, you've been in a lot of college wrestling rooms where I'm sure it's pretty intense. I mean, does it add anything for you? Does it actually take pressure off you? The fact that, you know, you're kind of stepping into his backyard, or how do you feel about that?
You know, it's a big fight. I don't, you know, necessarily feel like I'm stepping into his backyard, because we're, you know, he's popular over there. He's fought over there a lot, but at the same time, you know, we're both traveling over there, and we're both going to be in the octagon, you know, and you know, his fans and you know, who he's beat and all that, you know, they're not going to be in there with him. So I'm just looking forward to going over there, exciting fight, big fight, and you know, I just go in there. I kind of like playing, you know, wrestling that underdog role. So you know, I train my butt off and I'm ready to go.
And one question for Benson. Ben, you when you lost the fight in the WC to close out your career over there, and then came to the UFC, you kind of had to work your way back up from that fight. Do you look at this as one of those, everything happens for a reason kind of moments that, maybe you didn't get to fight back then, but you needed that experience in the UFC to get you to this point?
I definitely think so. I think that, like you actually just said, everything happens for a reason. The Lord does work in mysterious ways. Maybe back then I wasn't quite ready, wasn't quite up to snuff, or whatever the reason was. But, here I am now, and I'm ready to run with it, ready to get my best shot.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. We will take our next question from Max Sirocco with BleacherReport.com.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My question is for Rampage and Ryan Bader. How do you guys feel that the Japanese fans will react to the cage, first of all, and to the different rules that the UFC has? Do you think they'll have a positive reaction or a negative reaction, or how do you feel it'll go down?
More towards Rampage. I've never been over there, fought over there, so I don't really know what the crowd is going to be like. So,
and I think the crowd would be real happy just to have some mixed martial arts going on over there. I heard the little buzz when I was there doing the media that everybody was waiting for the fight, so they'd be real excited. They can't wait for the UFC to come there.
Thank you.
And Garrett Deer with the Bleacher Report. Please go ahead.
My question is for Benson. Hey, Benson, you talked earlier this week about coming from cleaning the gym to actually owning the gym, and now you're getting the chance to headline a card in Japan, kind of where it all started. So what does it really mean to have this opportunity to fight in Japan?
It really does, mean quite a bit to be able to fight in Japan. Like Frankie said earlier, kind of the birthplace of MMA. MMA was very big in Japan for such a long time. It was the mecca of MMA, earlier on. So it's nice to hopefully be a part of what's, going to be the spark of the return of Japanese MMA, and just, bring MMA that much more globally into the mainstream.
And earlier this week, Anthony Pettis actually predicted that you would defeat Frankie Edgar. And I'm sure your focus is on Frankie for now, but Pettis is the only man to defeat you in the last 5 years. Do you kind of feel maybe you have some unfinished business with him if you can get by Edgar?
I wouldn't exactly say unfinished business. I definitely want to avenge, my loss. I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that loss, but it is what it is. Anthony's a tough guy, tough kid. A great worker. I can't say enough about him. He goes big or goes home. I'm sure he'll work his way to the top. He had a loss against Clay Guida. I know he's been working on his wrestling, been busting his butt. So I imagine I will be seeing him again in not too long. So whenever he gets a shot from my belt, let's do it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. We'll take our next question from Thomas Gerbasi with UFC.
Hey, guys. Question for Quinton. Quinton, when you went over to Japan for the first time for the Sakuraba fight, was it, in your mind, the way, the guys going on this card have it? Everyone that's going over there is big into the tradition of Japan and the history there, and they're all amped up about that. Was that your feeling going into the Sakuraba fight, or were you just winging it at that point?
Man, when I was going to the Sakuraba fight, man, I was broke as hell, man. I was just winging it. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I was just going over to make some money.
Nice. Have you gotten over to Japan often since you were fighting over there?
Yeah, I've been there a few times recently.
And what's the reaction from the fans over there if you run into them? Are they as excited about having you back as you are about getting back there?
Honestly, it's kind of weird to say this, but it's true. Like, when I'm over in Japan, they don't even recognize me. If I don't got my chain on, don't camouflage, I could be anybody. All black folks look alike to them. So I haven't bumped into many fans like over there.
Right. Now, you also, in the last few months, opened your gym in California. What's it like to have not only a home base for yourself for training, but also something that will last beyond your fighting days? Is that something you could have imagined, back when you were winging it?
So, honestly, I never thought that I would open up a gym because, so it's no secret that I never liked training. But, so I noticed, like, in between fights, I always get out of shape. And I was going to my friend's Tiki's gym in Huntington Beach, but, I live in Rent, so I opened up a gym in Mission Viejo right down the street with my business partner, Dave Roberts, the guy who started me to fight and stuff. And he really loves the gym, and we got a lot of students. It's kind of like a family place, and that's what the type of, atmosphere I like. And it's good to have your own home-based gym. And I can go in there in my own gym and train like I want to and do whatever I want to do without having, walk on eggshells at my friends' gyms and stuff like that, because everybody know how rowdy I get sometimes. So when it's your own gym, you don't got to say sorry to nobody. So I kind of like it.
Right. Thanks for the time. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to Brendan Connon with Rebellion Media.
Yeah, hi. I'm curious to hear from Ben and Frankie just about what it means to you as, sort of the present and future of MMA to be headlining a card, especially a UFC card in Japan. So maybe if Frankie, if you could start out.
Yeah, like I said before, it's definitely an honor to fight over there. Birthplace martial arts and all, and first time Zuffa under the Zuffa banner, UFC is going to be there. I got to fight in Abu Dhabi for the first time with Zuffa, so I almost feel like I'm an ambassador to the sport, and it's cool to go into different cultures and different countries and showcase my skills for them.
Great, and Ben.
I'm very excited to be like the main event and stuff because my last fight I was kind of put on the back burner, even though I thought it was gonna be an exciting fight. A lot of people thought it was gonna be an exciting fight. I kind of put on the back burner a little bit. It is what it is. It's up to the higher ups to decide who's gonna be on the main card and main event as far as airing on Fox and stuff. And to have my fight not aired, it was a little upsetting to myself. So it's nice to be on the main event. No big guys in front of us because heavyweights always get to steal the show and stuff. So it's nice to be able to not have the show be stolen because they weigh 100 pounds more than me.
So is it especially gratifying then to be headlining this show, which is arguably at least as epic as the Fox one?
Absolutely.
Cool. And then just a quick question for Rampage. In past fights or against past opponents, you've been pretty vocal, but this time around, it seems like you've been a little quiet. I'm just wondering, is it just sort of a matter of mutual respect or lack of excitement about the match? I'm just curious what the motivation is.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
My bad. No, man. You know what? Honestly, I got nothing against Ryan Bader. He's a cool guy. He haven't talked trash against me, and when I fight guys like this, it's never nothing personal most times anyway. But I'm just going out there just like a sports guy, putting on a great show for the fans. I got nothing against Ryan Bader at all. I'm still going to try to knock his head off. But there ain't gonna be no hard feelings about it.
Great. All right. Great. I appreciate it. Best of luck to all you guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Camilo Ortiz with El Octagono. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi, this is Camilo from El Octagono. I have two questions. First of all, Ben, we saw how you handled yourself against the fighter like Jay Guido with the constant movement and all that. Frankie Edgar has a similar style. I guess he's very constantly, stick and move. Do you feel that like maybe your advantage will be coming out strong in the first round and possibly taking the fight to the ground?
Yeah, I think pretty similar in effect, but different in how they go about it. But a lot of movement between Frankie and Clay. Frankie's a little more polished. Frankie's a little bit, a little bit more polished. A little bit better at what he does. Great movement, non-stop movement. But I think the Clay, definitely after the fight, I was very thankful for having fought Clay because it did somewhat help prepare, at least give me a feel for where I am in the cage against somebody like that who does have nonstop movement. And threw me off a little bit against Clay. Hopefully that'll help me, against Frankie.
And Frankie, we know that you're a fighter that as the rounds go, you get into your rhythm, you get better and better. So how important is it for you to get through the first round and possibly trying to maintain the fight on the feet?
I'm really not concerned too much, where the fight goes because, it could go anywhere. So I got to be ready for that. But, I want to come out strong from the first round. Obviously, I want to get to the first round, and I do feel I build. But, if I can go out there and, win the first round and build from there, that obviously be the best scenario.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Can't wait to see the fight.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. And Adam Martin with thescore.com, please go ahead.
Frankie Edgar, you're obviously, this is your fourth title defense. You're getting up into some pretty lofty company. No one at lightweight has defended the title 4 times. Are you finding it hard to get motivated for fights now?
No, not at all, man. Especially when I got opponents like Ben, and just how deep the 55-pound division is. I better not get comfortable. If things get comfortable, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah, and Ben, what would it mean to you to knock off a guy like Frankie Edgar, a guy who's like in the top 5 pound for pound in the world?
It means a lot. I think you want to face guys who are top opponents. You want to face guys who are defending the belt 5, 6, 7 times. That speaks more highly of you having beat those guys. You don't be some guy who's only just won the belt and then you beat him and there's no legacy behind him. I want to fight the best guys on the planet. I want to beat the best guys on the planet. Frankie's definitely up there. He's defended his belt, a bunch of times. He had some great wars. There's nothing bad you can say about him at all. So to fight someone like him, to take the belt from a fighter like Frankie, from a champion like Frankie, it'll definitely be an honor.
Thanks, guys. And just Ryan Grab, again, just some fans on Twitter just want some clarification on the start time. Is it 10 p.m. Eastern for the pay-per-view card?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Neil Davidson with the Canadian Press. Your line is open.
Yes, thank you. Frankie, I know the trip to Abu Dhabi was different in terms of climate and conditions, but I'm wondering if that trip taught you anything or gave you any things that you're doing ahead of this long trip to Japan?
It definitely has. It just gives me the experience of having to travel overseas, handle a long flight and a big time change, and just preparing, in a foreign land. You don't have all the normal commodities you usually do in America. So, I've seen it once, and I'm not gonna be blindsided by it.
And Ben, is there anything that you've adapted in your training or you're bringing with you that to prepare you for the trip?
Just logistically, a lot of things you have to think of. A lot of things you would not think of I would not think of on my own unless I asked a lot of people who did fight in Japan a bunch of times and fought overseas, other places, and their opinions of what needs to be taken care of, what do we need to do. Make sure we don't forget this, make sure we don't forget that. Adjusting training times when we get there after we're already in Japan, adjusting training times now, what time we spar at, all that sort of stuff. I talked to Rick Rufus, fought big-time world, kickboxing champion, fought all over the world. So I definitely picked his brain on some things we need to do. And,
did any of what you hear surprise you?
There were a few things. One thing I didn't really think about was food, making sure you have the food your body needs and whatnot, because the food over there in Japan is going to be quite different, especially the pre-weigh-in food. We're going to be on a pretty strict diet, so making sure I'm good to go with that stuff. There were some other little things I just would have never thought about, like, oh wow, I should have realized that, but I didn't even think about that. There are a few things like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take our next question from Michael Chiappetta with MMAWeekly.com.
Hey, question for Frank. Frank, you're finally a favorite in this fight. It's been several fights since you've been favored to win, even though you've been the champ for a while. Wondering kind of how you feel about that. Or you feel like you're finally getting the respect as the champ now, or do you like it better as an underdog?
Well, I didn't even know I was a favorite until you said that. I really don't pay attention to those things because, like you said, I've been the underdog most of the time, and I find ways to win. So, it really doesn't matter. That's only someone's opinion. So, the more I win, the more respect I'm going to get. So, that's always the plan.
And Ben's known for his conditioning and keeping a high pace. Obviously, you've done very well in fights late in rounds. How do you see that, playing out in this fight, Frank? Did you do, extra work to make sure your conditioning is even above and beyond what Ben is normally even capable of?
Yeah, I'm not going to try to go out there and just out-condition someone. I just got to outfight him. And I got to be ready to fight 5 very, very hard rounds. And, I think I did that this camp, and I'm ready to do so. But, it's not always about fighting the hardest. You got to fight smart, too. So, you got to find the balance in between all that.
Okay, and a couple of questions for Ben. Ben, I remember talking to you a couple of years ago before you were even the WEC champ, and at the time I remember you saying that you wanted to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and obviously a win here would get you in that conversation. I'm wondering, are you still keeping sight of that goal, or is that still kind of too far off in the distance?
No, absolutely. I definitely have long-term goals, short-term goals, but that has been my goal since I first got into fighting, period. Was just to be the best fighter on the planet. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No one of the best, not top 5, top 3, top whatever. I want to be the best fighter on the planet, period. That goal is still in my sights. I still always, wake up thinking about that. I don't think me beating Frankie at all gets me anywhere near the conversation. I think I have to, beat Frankie and then beat a couple other guys, defend the belt. What is Anderson up to? He's up to like 12 right now, 13, whatever. So after I beat the 13, whatever Anderson's record, wherever he stops at, 14 times, 16 times, after I beat that, then then the conversation can begin.
Okay, and what concerns you most about facing Frankie and his set of skills and what he brings to the table? Is it his speed, big fight experience? What exactly is it that kind of concerns you the most?
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily Frankie's speed. He's very fast. He has a great straight right. I'm thinking, my boxing coach is thinking that he's going to have a lot of faith in that straight right. Him, hurting Gray so badly with it in the last fight. He's going to have a lot of faith in it. He's going to believe it. But not necessarily, because I box with plenty of boxers here in Phoenix getting ready to face that. Not necessarily speed. I've gotten punched a bunch of times by very, very fast guys, so I've gotten accustomed to that. I wouldn't really say big fight experience either, just because I've been in a couple of big fights myself. I have my share of big fight experience. I'm not really sure. I think against Frankie, what I have to be most worried about is maybe losing each round by a hair. Frankie does a great job in his fights of doing just enough work. Not just enough, I don't mean it to sound like that, but he does really good work in winning that round. He wins one round, and then he does just enough the next round to win that round. Then he does just enough to win the next round, and then to win the next round. So at the end of the fight, you're down 5 rounds to none. You're not really too beat up, not really too damaged or anything like that, but you lost all 5 rounds to Frankie Edgar. That would be, I guess, one of my biggest worries.
Okay, and finally, I could be wrong, but I think I remember, when this fight was announced, you said that you'd, try and put on a little bit of size to make sure you have a big possible size advantage against Frankie. I'm wondering if you can tell us what you do weigh at right now, and if you've had any concern if adding some extra weight could potentially affect your stamina in a 5-round fight.
I am a little bit bigger now. I'm a little bit on a little bit of size, yes. I wanted to do it the right way. No one puts on, I put on 20 pounds of muscle in 2 months. It's all solid muscle, though. No one does that. That's not how it works. it takes 3-4 years to put on 10 pounds of solid muscle, actual legit muscle. It takes a long time. So I didn't put on that much size as much as I would like to, but I did put on a little bit of size. It has not adversely affected my cardio at all. I'm able to go 7-8 rounds hard, fresh partner each round, so hasn't really affected me negatively at all.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks. No problem. Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Matthew Roth with BloodyElbow.com.
Hi, this question is for Ben. Ben, during the media event in Japan, one of the stories that didn't really get much play was that you visited South Korea and got to visit your mother's side of the family. Can you talk briefly about that experience of meeting that side of your family, and maybe if they're going to be at the event in Japan?
Yeah, it was. It really was just a great time to go out there and meet, one whole side of my family who I've never met before. Never really had a whole lot of contact with them. That was only my mom's second time back to Korea in 30 years. So it was really cool. Met a bunch of cousins who, 30, 40 different cousins that I don't remember any of their names. But it was really cool. It was really fun. Got to hang out at some of the army bases too. With the soldiers. That was actually really cool. I was really surprised how much fun I had doing that. But just in general, Korea with my mom was such an honor to be able to take my mom out there and stuff. That's the biggest part I most enjoyed, was just seeing the smile on Mom's face the whole time she was out there.
That's awesome. And do you think that your cousins are going to be fighting in Japan?
Yes, my great uncle. My great uncle's wife. I think a couple different cousins actually are also coming from Korea.
All right, awesome. Thank you for the answer, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Jake Martin with Hertzbad. Your line is open.
Hey, guys. I have a question for Frankie. Frankie, with your past 2 fights going the way it did, how important is it for you to get off to a great start against Henderson and have a strong first round?
Yeah, I mean, that's always, even in my last 2 fights, I wanted to come out to a straight, a strong start, but it's just it's not the way it happened. But yeah, I mean, that's, something, I don't want to be down big in a fight against Henderson, so, I got to make sure, I'm on my A game, right out the gate.
And how good does it feel for you to finally put BJ Penn and Gray Maynard behind you and move on in your MMA career?
Yeah, it's definitely refreshing to train for someone new. Gray definitely, especially with the injury I had, I had to think about Gray for quite a long time. So it was nice to get ready for someone else.
Thanks, Frankie.
You got it.
Thank you. Matt Jewell with the Bleacher Report. Your line is open.
Yes, just to follow up on that last question, do you find that facing Benson Henderson in person, who isn't obviously BJ Penn or Gray Maynard, do you feel like an excitement for facing a new opponent, or do you feel that it's more of a challenge because you have to look through all the different tapes and have to prepare for like a different style?
A little bit of both. I mean, it's excitement of just having a new opponent. It's like a fresh easel to paint on. You know what I mean? And but it's definitely a concern because you gotta, you didn't face him before. You kind of don't know what he's going to bring to the table. So it is a little bit new.
Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's *1 for any questions. We'll now hear from Neil Davidson with the Canadian Press.
Yes, my question is for you, Ryan. Ryan, you had a long winning streak, and then you went up a couple of past and future champions. They say you learn more from your losses than your wins. Can you tell us sort of what you learned, you think, from that period? And also, did it take a while to get back after 2 losses?
Yeah, you definitely learned a lot. You got to take them and do something good with those. And after you lose your first fight, it's not necessarily something where you freak out and need to change everything. But losing 2 in a row, I had to go back to the drawing board and look what I was doing. And we definitely made some changes as a team. We got, a new head coach, a new boxing coach, and that was nice having somebody else come in and run your training camps instead of kind of doing it yourself, but having, different coaches there. So now I just show up for training. Everything is, there, what I'm supposed to do. Film is watched, game plan is done, and, as far as the head coach, and we got a new boxing coach, and I felt great going into my last fight. I went out there aggressive. Some people feel that they have to fight, not to lose. But that gets them away from what got them there. So I felt confident in my last fight. I feel confident going into this fight, and those changes I made, I definitely feel like I'm a different fighter and progressing, in 4 months as I did in 4 years before.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's *1 for any additional questions or follow-ups. And we have a question from Noog Bergelis with El Dario, New York.
Okay. First, I want to know if Frankie Edgar speaks Spanish.
No.
All right. So that's okay. My question is. My question is, why do you think so many people, including so many Hispanic people, is attacked by UFC? What can do you as athletes do more to attract more people?
Why do the Spanish community, they like UFC? That's the question?
Yeah.
I just think because, like the Mexican boxers, they fight hard, and, it's ingrained in their culture, So, I think you're going to see a lot of Spanish fighters, too, coming up soon. So, I think that's one of the reasons why.
And why did you start in the UFC instead of boxing?
I started UFC just because I came from a wrestling background. Boxing really wasn't an option for me, I guess. The transition from wrestling to MMA was a lot more easier.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about your next fight? What can the fans expect from you and from your opponent if you know him as well?
Yeah. He's very tough, very athletic. He's very well-rounded, and he fights a high pace. So I think it's going to be very exciting for the fans.